All right, we're here. We can start. Let's go.
Okay, I'm actually really excited about this. I've been waiting for this talk all week. The intent of this particular blueprint is talking about, Juju's not going to live in isolation in the real world, right? No enterprise is going to say, you know what, I've got a big shop that has all this enterprise, or that has all this configuration management stuff. I'm just going to drop it and start using Juju, right? So this is sort of trying to figure out ideas, and we have a couple ideas for how to use tools like Capistrano, like Puppet, like Chef, within the same ecosystem as Juju, right? And so, and that's really what I wanted to do was kind of sit down with a few people and ask their ideas on it. But I figured let's just make a whole session on it.
Right.
Maybe if we could start. What I'd love to do is hear Clint talk a little bit about stuff he's done on Puppet.
Nobody wants to hear me talk anymore.
No, they don't want to hear me talk. You're
Is
good.
Michael Nelson in the room? Is Michael Nelson around?
Michael.
I haven't met him. He wrote a really cool Django charm that calls Puppet manifests.
That was pretty good.
That does
Yeah.
Puppet apply, and it's really really cool. Yeah. So
It is a function.
we can go over that. And then just ideas for how something very similar should and could be done for Chef. But then other questions I have are what are ways that it works the other way around, right? How can we have, how can we use Puppet as a source of truth within an infrastructure, or go into a place that uses Puppet as Puppet models that are stored as a source of truth for the infrastructure, and still be compatible with that, and still play with that. So that's a hard problem. Well, the first example might be Capistrano. To call because Capistrano is an easy.
I think you mentioned that you were thinking that we should go and invert how we use Capistrano instead of utilizing it as
Yeah.
a status renderer. So it'd be kind of interesting to.
Yeah, so let me get on the right page so I can capture.
Here, while you're doing that, I was actually, what you were just talking about, taking the manifest and the Puppet deal, and like you did with the load balancer thing in a few minutes. When Mark stopped outside last night and stopped me and was talking about it, that's he wanted a quick video how to, I don't know why a video, but a video how to, for doing just that, taking the Puppet stuffing it in Juju, and then saying, ooh, it works. You don't get none of the Juju goodies yet because you're just taking the straight load, but really just being able to write a script and saying, or, be able to run a script, pointed at your Puppet stuff, and it spits out Juju stuff. And then you go back and add your Juju goodies. But it functions at that point the same as it did before, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
really, if it's a known, any of the known ways, with Capistrano, with Puppet, with Chef, whatever, we should be able to do that with very little assumptions, I guess.
Mhm.
It should be map stuff one-to-one as far as that goes, because we do that and more, And then you can always go back and add the Juju goodies after. Is that or,
So I don't know whether it's worth bringing up on the screen, but Michael's Django charm has two different manifests. It has an install hook, it has a DB relate hook. The relation changed, I'm sure is what it is. So in that hook, he calls a separate Puppet manifest for install, an installation manifest, and another manifest for DB relate. And that's a beautiful coordination with Juju. There's a couple problems in that we want to, the modules, the standard modules might not be divided into into manifests that can be called at different times by the hooks. But that's a separate problem. But getting it working, just getting Puppet, or getting Juju to call Puppet manifest or to apply Puppet manifest works beautifully as a separation between what Juju does for installation hook and what Juju does for a database relation changed hook, right? And this is exactly what's missing from a lot of the configuration management tools that exist, is that the installation right, we separate installation from relate to a database. So you install on your Django service, you install, but you don't run the Puppet manifest until after the other side has come up. And so it's that coordination layer that Juju is providing real value around. We can take advantage of that. So has anyone else done any other charms that use any of these tools? Or I guess maybe first of all, are we missing tools? Should we add in other tools that we should be looking at integrating with?
Thing and ant.
For the Puppet story, we promulgated the Puppet subordinate charm yesterday.
Okay.
So Precise has a subordinate that you can now apply any Puppet policy to your machines, and a Puppet master charm. So if you don't have an existing Puppet deployment, but you just want to get Puppet out there quickly, you can actually do it really, really easily and really
So-
quickly.
It requires Puppet though to apply them, like the subordinate one.
So here's how I see it working. We actually, could be the fastest way to get Puppet onto the cloud right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want.
If you have Juju and an EC2 account set up in Juju, you can, in a bootstrapped environment, you can type Juju deploy Puppet Master, Juju deploy Ubuntu, Juju deploy Puppet, and then relate Puppet to Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a blank charm. It deploys Ubuntu. And then relate your Puppet back to the Puppet Master. And now, your Puppet Master, you just need to find classes for each service name. And then, just like you would do it in Puppet, you say Ubuntu servers need to have these packages, and you say my web service needs to have these packages, we built an external node classifier that looks at your Juju relationships and puts everything by service name in that class.
Awesome.
It's totally a straw man. Like, I'm not a Puppet expert. And I hope that Puppet interested folks will look at it and actually make it useful. I'd like to see M-Collective support added and things like that. But fairly rapidly you can get Puppet out there, and you can also point it at an external Puppet master. So you say deploy Puppet, set the Puppet master to wherever the address of your Puppet master is, and then relate it to all your services, and you can have Puppet policy applied on top of the charm that's written in some other language. So we have really strong Puppet integration right now, and if you look at the charm, it's pretty small. It really demonstrates the power of subordinates, which is a new thing. But to me, that's where a lot of the integration that we've been missing is going to come from. Not all of it, but definitely, I think,
For free.
to me, the integration that we're all talking about here, that all these topics boil down to the vision for Juju. Sometimes it's hard to know, why are we doing another tool? Why can't people just use Puppet? Why didn't we just enhance Chef? What I see Juju being really effective for that those other ones aren't is allowing people to collaborate one time around the service and then having it integrate well with other things that have been done in a similar but not the exact same way. Just like packaging. People got Boost right in Debian, and now programs that use Boost don't have to get Boost right anymore. They just link to it and they go. And if you look at other OSs, they're like, oh no, I'm on CentOS 5 and I can't use Boost, but Debian and Ubuntu users are fine because they collaborated on Boost and they got that library right. We want to do the same thing with services in Juju. When somebody gets MySQL right, which I don't think it's right yet, it means that all Juju users are better served of MySQL. So these integration points are really about letting people utilize this awesome stuff that people end up getting in the Juju Charm store without abandoning the stuff that they're already spending lots of money customizing around. That's what I see. And we need to keep that in mind while we're thinking of what's a good thing to integrate with. We don't want to say, I don't want to integrate with anything that does what Juju does. We do want to integrate with things that do some of the things that Juju do. The overlap needs to be smooth.
It's real world. People are going to need to do this.
Yeah.
Does your Puppet subordinate allow you to connect to an external Puppet master?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does. You can do either one.
And
Or
also we
both.
can start making subordinates that
Freaking
add
beautiful.
functionality to your Puppet Master.
What's that?
We can start adding subordinates to your Puppet Master that add more stuff to the site FTP, that add more manifests, that add more templates. So you can augment the functionality of your Puppet Master,
Mhm.
and then all the ones that are related to that Puppet Master will automatically get that that information.
Yeah,
goes
we
with it.
can really go wild and
Yeah,
actually make
that's
it really
actually-
What are
amazing.
next steps essentially then to do?
I think we just run
Take
with that.
and run with it.
Yeah,
Make
take
it
that
awesome.
and run with
Is-
it, and
is
if,
really-
if any of the rest of them are
Well,
close
what does
enough.
that look like? Is that just coming up with service stacks and stack scripts? Is that just something that, community people can start integrating into their infrastructures and telling us how that works and
So,
feeding us back those
for,
scripts or what?
When we were using Puppet, we started working on making the modules for Puppet Master.
Yeah.
Be able to, we were working on the ability to easily integrate more functionality into Puppet Master. So now that Clint has that charm, I'm gonna translate that into subordinates so you can add extra recipes
Yeah.
to your existing Puppet Master. Hopefully, we use that as an example so other people that have their entire infrastructure already in Puppet can just grab that, dump it pretty much into a particular subordinate charm, and then add it to Puppet Master. So now you have the ability of quickly deploying not only Puppet Master and the subordinates in your Puppet, but bring your entire recipe manifest into that environment and then.
How do we
deploy it.
collaborate on this shit? You're doing stuff in the corner, he's doing stuff in the corner, he's doing stuff in the corner.
Well, what I'm
Well,
doing, like I
yeah,
started
close
writing
to
the
job,
Puppet Master,
yeah.
but then I saw that you had it, so I just, okay, review your say, it looks great, so we'll go with that. And we're
And-
using
Then what-
the existing ecosystem that we have, we're using.
The process that we have set up around the charm store needs to always be driving people who are in parallel lines in the same
Right.
topic together.
Yeah,
So that
and-
we've seen it a couple times. Poor Marco nearly died yesterday when he realized that somebody else had already done a get-a-light
Yeah.
bug, and I reached out to the author. I said, "Hey, are you still working on it?" He said, "No, we gave it to Marco."
Wait, why does that happen? Because we very clearly have bugs for
Marco
them.
forgot.
Well,
But we need to make sure that process
It's
is
an
well
awareness.
known.
no, that's a problem with the process because the process doesn't consist of start for the list of things that we're looking for.
It does.
It
It says, "Search here."
Mhm.
I have a work item to fix all of that garbage.
Yeah.
And we're, that's, yeah, we
It was
already
a
have talked
mistake.
It
about
starts
that.
with deleting the
Everybody's human, yeah,
spreadsheet.
it was just a mistake.
Okay,
And it gets
well,
off.
wait, so is this when Juan's plugging this into another module?
You should file a bug.
Is that a bug against the Puppet subordinate?
No.
Is
No,
that,
No, it's a
new
new
charm.
charm. From my point of view, it's a new charm.
Here's the
Am I
point.
wrong?
Yeah,
But
Here's
it
the
could
point
be-
that we need to start driving right now. If you want to work on a charm,
Mhm.
please look at the bug list.
ITV.
Launchpad search is pretty good at project name matching in the title. So please look in the bug list. If you see something there that might be related, ask the author, see what's going on. We have a policy now, if nobody's touched it for 30 days, we're gonna take it away from you. So the next step, file that bug, say, I'm working on foo, I'm working on this. And then that way you are now the source of truth, at least for 30 days, on that thing. And we really wanna make that clear. We wanna
Should we,
get people
ask Bill
collaborating
to add
together
some of that into Juju charms?
for the
Well,
better.
At some
Um,
point, a chart
that-
will be at the point where you don't have to touch it within 30 days, things will get finished, so you'll have to change your policy at that point.
What's
No,
that?
because it'll already be, it won't have to be a new charm at that point.
Oh, you're talking just new
New
charts?
charms.
Yeah,
right,
just
right,
for new
right.
charms.
Gets you-
Yeah.
that tag gets you.
And what you said,
So-
Tuesday, we decided that there, yeah, that's already another, on the other topic, it's going. It's getting on the page. There'll be an easy way, that, Marco or George one of them was making an easy way to see that outside of the Launchpad search.
Yeah, so,
So another source of integration, Capistrano is a great deployment tool used at a bunch of shops. There's sort of this concept of spin up, so app-based service like a Django or Rails or Node or any of these sorts of things. If you've got an app, you're controlling various different versions of it that are in production, and that's what Capistrano was designed for. And the concept around it is you deploy a server virtually, and then you manage the revisions, you deploy new revisions to that server. There are variations of this so that certainly is supported with Juju. We should be able to allow Capistrano to call Juju to spin up those services and then hit those services to manage the
So I
revisions
have
on
a
there.
very, very rudimentary Capistrano
Right.
thing going that you just get the status and it spits out Capistrano. So that you can then use your existing Capistrano stuff to manipulate the Juju instances that
You
are
add
running.
it to your existing Capistrano configuration, right? Well, and so that's a paradigm where you're sort of like, okay, you have one service that then you manage the revisions there. Juju would also support things like have lock a revision of the app to the revision of the charm to the service. So when you spin up a new revision, you spin up another instance. Or you spin, you update the charm.
Right. I think you could probably have it both ways.
You,
I'm not
you
sure.
can totally do both things.
Well, that's what I was
I
gonna say.
think you're talking about a different model,
Yeah,
service orchestration there.
Yeah,
yeah, it is.
No, no,
One
no.
that Juju
Capistrano
doesn't
really
support.
is.
sure it does,
If it,
absolutely.
with the help of Capistrano.
You
it
up,
would.
if you
If
have the
all
app,
your charms use apt, right? You have to know how to change revisions for everything. Some things use get, I'm asking you, maybe I misunderstood
yeah,
what you were suggesting to do, but to me, Capistrano is a slightly different model to solve the
It-
same problem.
it is, but it works, they can work well together.
Okay.
Yeah,
You would have to use, instead of
That's
making
on-
Juju learn those bits, you would just use Capistrano to
Right.
manage
Well,
those bits.
so the key aspect of the integration associated with
As
are
far as
tools
the
like what
revisions.
Juan did that lets Capistrano know about what Juju is doing,
Yeah.
and then extend that to allow Capistrano to actually make the command line calls
Yeah,
to spin up instances.
Like Juju
in
deploy Ubuntu kind of thing?
Exactly.
right.
Well, less sort of meta by using the Ubuntu package and stuff like that is you can actually have Capistrano spinning up additional instances of a particular service, no problem.
So Mark, is the intent,
Isn't that like incredibly shallow though?
It is,
Yeah,
but it's a start.
I guess the thing that
that's
I'm,
all it takes sometimes.
But if you can't go any deeper, it's an endpoint.
No, that's useful.
Yeah, but, well, no, you can.
That's not
and
that shallow.
makes-
It really isn't.
That makes it so everybody's not doing it a different way either, even with that, just that thin piece. You
Right.
know, everybody that's gonna use Capistrano with it, they'll use it, the
Well, it's
one-
basically
the one
executing
little
level
shell
commands in Capistrano against Juju.
Correct.
so Mark, under this vision.
There are a
Yeah.
lot of people that
Yeah,
use
he's actually.
Capistrano they spin up stuff in EC2 and then they'll hit it with Capistrano from the
Yeah.
code base, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
just-
the cap file would do that.
That's only a little part
Beyond
of a
cap
bigger
file, I don't see
infrastructure.
what
It's only little part of a bigger infrastructure that Juju can build that additional infrastructure and then let them do what they've been doing traditionally.
Similar to the puppet story.
Yeah.
It is.
Again,
Yeah.
driving the ability to keep your policy and your customization without,
Right.
letting go of the
Right.
idea of using the
Yes,
charms.
you've got
as
your
is.
process, your development process and how developers would deploy in that case is exactly the same. But you've now suddenly changed the source of truth from scripts or from a puppet model or from a chef server model to Juju maintaining those instances in the cloud. So it's maintaining your stack. And then you're just using Capistrano to maintain your vision control on particular ones
Right,
without changing
right.
your whole world.
But you still have scaling, you still have
You have everything
coordination.
you could, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
this makes sense.
And
And
Capistrano
that's
supports
actually how-
going wide and stuff too.
Mhm.
That's actually how, J-Hub, they got a big old series of blog posts, that's how they
Right.
do it, because they used to use Cap for everything,
Yep.
now they just use Cap
And
for
it's
just
continuous
that. Yeah.
deployment.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, every
Um,
18 minutes or something, they deploy to 80 servers.
And so it's not just as shallow as getting status back, but it's letting Capistrano, writing extensions to have Capistrano call Juju. Now, of course, a RESTful API in Juju would absolutely make that so much better. But we can get a lot with just a command line with that particular example, right? We can do that right now. We don't have to wait for anything else to make that happen.
Mark, in terms of something like that, in terms of that Capistrano integration, would it be important for that to trigger any relation orchestration going on?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
But
I mean, I guess we could use config hooks to go and kick that off.
our set of
I don't
command
want
line.
to get too deep on this.
Yeah,
I
I
agree
agree.
that there is a need for things, this is like the secondary need now that we know how subordinates work, for things to call Juju.
Yep.
And be enabled to do that. Juju has rudimentary support, and it needs to be
Well,
better,
no.
and we should look at that.
That's my point is that we need to support that component of integration. And that RESTful API will really help that. But the command line API we have right now is very rich, right? We have APIs written around it already
Well, the command line
that,
API.
that,
it's
that
a-
exercise that, yeah.
Anyway.
I
In
mean,
conjunction with
it's
Jinsu.
a start. And
So I guess if you're
You're
looking to do integration with Juju, don't shy away from that component of it.
Right.
It does support it, and we're working to make it support that harder.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually another integration that's different than all these, actually, is what I was talking about, the web interface that I was gonna spin up. REST API. You know, I can actually use the CLI API as long as that's gonna match later on to a REST API or map to one.
And that's spec, I don't know that we have a deliverable.
Is there a REST API that someone's already written?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
So
only for
I
the
put it
node.
there, look, it's
Unofficial?
unofficial, I made it like, I made it over the weekend, so, look, I put it up there, it's useful.
Where's it at? Is that what you
It's on
pointed to?
Launchpad.
Again, how
That's
do we
only,
collaborate on
isn't
this?
that only for Go though?
No.
Well, I'd like to
Okay.
see this all collaborated side of Jujitsu.
No, I mean, no, I'm
Yeah.
putting, I'm
You know
putting, I'm
what?
pushing it into.
I know you are.
But,
That's
well,
a
I'm
but
great.
what I'm saying is, look, REST API, there's one. If you guys like it, use it. If not, we'll come up with something better.
No,
If
I
it's gonna
definitely
be
do. He
integrated,
pointed me
that's
to
fine.
it. It's great. It looks really great. But yeah, because I was needing one and I said, hey, I'll just write one. And he's like, no. Here, there's, yeah.
So
And
Clint,
so I looked at it, but yeah, I didn't, let's,
tell people what
Do that offline.
jujitsu is, please.
I put the
This is
link up there
critical.
to it. We started, last UDS, we identified 2 or 3 areas where we thought it was key to have tools that build on top of Juju, and the tools really need to move separately from Juju core, and so that's what the Jujitsu project is these are integration tools on top of Juju. Some of them will end up, I think, moving into Juju as they become fundamental to the way that people use Juju. But it's also a place that I kind of use as like man, that's a neat idea for a subcommand. So Jitsu is kind of the opening command, and then there's a directory subcommands, and they all can be run, and some of them call Juju later, and some of them call Juju first, and you can even wrap Juju so that all the Jitsu subcommands become underneath it, but don't do that because Kapil will hit me.
that's exactly what I was gonna suggest.
But Jitsu is the command. It should land in 12.10 in Universe and probably in Debian actually. But the idea is just to have a place where you're like, man, I have a good idea for creating a Capistrano file or a REST API on top of the command line itself, or whatever you want to do for integration, where it's not something that's going to be part of Juju Core, because we want Juju Core to be super high quality, well-tested, reviewed, extremely solid code. Jitsu can kind of break a little bit, and it's going to be more of a distributed, like, independent pieces that happen to be collected in one place. So that's what that project is. And right now, cool things that are in there are Juan's cap file generator, and there's an open port command that Kapil put together, so you can open any port on any service you want. And I'm just going through the things that I've used in the last 3 days. Gorse, if you've seen the demos from the OpenStack Summit,
Today,
But-
probably.
yeah, you might even see it at the end of the plenaries, where Gorse kind of does a cool tree and builds it up. You can literally type Jitsu Gorse -- run Gorse, and it just pops up a window on your machine. And if you already have a Juju environment running, it'll just build the tree for you. So that's no longer magic that hides in behind curtains. It literally is just a single command, and we want more stuff like that. Just little integration points with Juju.
So actually,
Proof of concept stuff.
bugs against
Yeah.
Jujitsu are probably a perfect place to collaborate on almost everything we've been talking
Yeah,
about.
anything that doesn't work as a charm,
So
bug it
the,
with Jujitsu.
the question, so the REST API should go into Jitsu,
Yeah.
is that where you were leaning
Yes.
when you were asking?
Yeah.
I'd like to see things like that.
Because that's a giant bunch of code.
Yeah, that's
Great,
fine.
we'll put it as a module.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, it's not quite a command, but
It's,
Sure.
yeah, no,
no,
it's a
you know
daemon.
what? No, yeah,
It should be a
It's a
command.
twisted.
It's a
Jujitsu, load up
So you
the
type
API.
Jitsu
Server.
JRappy and it runs a daemon.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how it should work.
that exactly,
That's
that
how I'd like
works.
to see
Awesome.
things work.
It's a daemon that runs just like that.
Yeah, and then actually, I'll probably make a charm out of it because I just want that to run
The classes.
somewhere else
No,
all the
it's fine.
time. You know what
It's
I mean?
just that
But
it's
you
a
know
little
what I'm saying. I
bit
mean,
Please do.
Yeah, no, I was just sitting there thinking,
It's a
I'm like,
little
man, I
bit
want the API running on my local machine all the
I
time.
don't
You
run a
know,
reactor without it.
yeah.
Run
I mean, no, but that's still perfect. It works out.
Huge
That
mini
works
thread.
out good.
No, that, exactly. I have it, the original intent for
Right,
the
you
REST
do
API
consider
was to
security
be an
clearance
endpoint.
like
Yes.
Because it doesn't write an environment,
Sure. No, no,
That
no,
could be
it
definitely.
keeps it all in databases, but
Okay, we got two threads.
Definitely.
I gave you a thing for it.
But,
I've got a
Okay.
Gave
stack
you a
of
thing
things
to
I'm
integrate it.
gonna add to Jiu-Jitsu that are coming.
yeah, there's awesome, like Kapil's been going wild off in some of the trees. we're collecting that. We're gonna collaborate on that, so that we don't duplicate efforts, so that we don't wonder if that's done. Go look in Jitsu if it's not in Juju. or-
Do you want any items
Well,
for that?
I
or
mean, it's
you-
probably Python, right, or whatever.
The
So
export
I'm assuming
environment,
what you're
import
doing is probably
environments.
Python or whatever.
It's
So-
anything. It's actually
Yeah,
uses
well,
other
those
tools
two
to
for
build.
now.
Oh, just,
Oh,
how about-
whatever you want.
That's why I was asking, do
Oh,
we
you
just
can
need to,
export
if we
Define
have a,
export environment.
not a single
You can
script, a
basically
single
take
command?
Go look at
you
it.
Take a
You're smart.
environment, all the services, all the
Subdirectory.
configuration,
I'm
all
asking
the
what you
number of
want
units,
done.
all the relations, and
Do
then.
you want,
Export it?
Propose merge.
Yeah, export it as a YAML file, and then import
oh,
it to
but
an
how do you
environment.
want it, man? You're the
Oh, I
mechanic,
like
you know
it.
what I mean? Do you want it a subdirectory, or do you want a single
Talk
file?
about that.
Keep that in mind.
Okay,
Okay.
so, moving on, we did Capistrano,
That's
discussed
cool,
that.
thanks.
Fabric is, I assume, somewhat similar. Somebody put a
Yes.
slash fabric up there. Same kind of thing. I put up an action item. And by the way, I don't believe in having to have somebody to do these things. Let's just define what we need to get done. We need to define really clearly use cases for things like Capistrano. So let's have somebody do that. Chef is, I think, on the same level of Puppet. We should integrate at the same level that we did with Puppet. We need a chef subordinate
Absolutely.
and a chef server charm. And I think actually John Willis started on that a
Yep.
little bit. So there may even already be some work on that.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
I have
and-
no idea, but I don't know, I know nothing of it.
It's
Yeah.
real similar.
I know what it is, but I just haven't implemented anything.
Chef users out there that are also
Yeah,
Juju users, help,
Help.
absolutely. You know, I put my name on them arbitrarily right now.
I have
So I couldn't figure them
another
otherwise.
somewhat tangential way to integrate with Chef and Puppet that I'd love to see someone investigate. I've tried to sit down and do this a couple of times and gotten distracted. But Puppet Forge is out there. There's a lot of chef cookbooks out there. I'd like to get a really well-defined way to show how you can make a charm out of any Puppet Forge recipe or collection of them.
Yeah.
And maybe there's room for tools. I right away realized that we need a little chef-like plugin or module or something to make chef search look in relation
Yeah.
list,
Totally.
right? Like, we've talked about this, and I'd
Yeah.
but I think we can do a tiny bit of work, and suddenly anything that's already in Puppet Forge becomes an easy charm.
Yeah,
So
that's what
that's what I
talking
meant by
about.
the puppet, the subordinate for your puppet master.
Yeah.
Is that if I want something, I can have it just go and clone off of a Puppet Forge, dump it in there, and then now you have that functionality
Yeah.
very easily without having
Yeah,
to
it's done.
break your back on it.
Exactly.
So I'm kind of working on that.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with the,
But just for
what
public.
Mark was talking about with the script, just to have one that just does that. It
Mhm.
just says, I mean, he didn't say Puppet Forge, but, you know, just grabs somewhere, and says, "Tick, okay, now it's a charm."
Just put this
Yeah.
manifest.
Exactly,
somewhere,
yeah.
and it's a charm. Because those things often just
Charm
are
create
really good
dash
at
dash
defining
puppet.
the deployment.
Huh?
Yeah.
Lynn?
What are
Charm
other,
create dash dash Puppet Forge space name and goes
There
and
you
gets it.
Or just Puppet.
So I'd like to
and then
investigate
the
that.
URL or local directory. and it
Did we
figures
record
it
that
out.
as an idea?
yeah, I did.
It's even simpler, yeah.
Well, I didn't, yeah, I'll get it down in action items, I just took notes on it.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna.
Salt, does anybody know anything about salt?
I do.
What do you think about salt integration? Should we integrate?
It's another subordinate, just like, it's effectively M collective, let's say, and they're trying to improve me on that.
Run stuff?
Yeah, run stuff in parallel, zero and
Right,
two,
plugins.
yeah.
Mike
Nothing
Messinger's
code.
here, he has a salt charm, he started, I'll ping him again. I
Yeah,
think they were blocking on a package.
I remember.
And then Fabric is just Python deployment scripts.
It's just Capistrano in Python.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I was talking about with Bing, it's just stuff.
I want to call out another cool integration point that is not like any of this stuff. It doesn't belong in Jitsu, but Adam Gandelman from our infrastructure cloud team added oh hey Adam, I didn't see you there. That guy
Yeah.
added a neat thing where in the OpenStack dashboard, you can just have it generate your environment YAML section for you, which is really cool. And I'd like to see similar things, come out if you have something.
Is it Jitsu?
Yeah, contribute
No,
to.
it's actually in the dashboard.
Yeah, it's part of the web.
So it spits out your environments.yaml for you to use.
So there's a section of the dashboard where you go and you can generate your EC2 credentials for the cloud and
Yeah.
your OpenStack credentials, and then I had something to do with the juju environments handle. So you
Oh, that's awesome.
I had a question about that. So Someone had mentioned the default image ID that's used in the environments is going away, is that true?
Has
Yeah,
gone
it's
away.
gone away.
Well, so there was a session on resource map. We need a way to map series and architecture to an image ID on the cloud, and OpenStack doesn't really give us that
Right.
yet.
So,
So it's there until we have a way to do that.
Yeah, and
is
it
that
actually
just
doesn't
on
work
using the
anymore.
cloud image query?
Right now, it's used,
Infrastructure and EC2?
yeah, the cloud image query for EC2. What happens is there's a rule if you override EC2 URI, you're still allowed to use default image ID. So, which you're doing in your thing, and you're
What's
safe
the-
as long
what's
as
your-
we have no resource.
We
map.
should document that hack.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah,
That it needs to be
Well,
Well,
documented.
and there's,
It's on the list.
There's, yeah, there's a, mail to the mailing list, the Juju mailing list that, I forget his name, but sent today, they're like, kinda explaining that a little bit and asking for, feedback and stuff.
Could we also add, as a to-do from this, somebody, I think this is so obvious, I don't know if we need to say it. Somebody should test Juju with eucalyptus and CloudSign.
So the Eucalyptus guys have been trying, I don't know if there's anyone here from Eucalyptus, but
I was talking with them.
They've
Good,
been
so we
here
can
all
talk about
week,
it.
yeah.
Oh, wait a minute.
they've been trying to get it,
Yeah.
yes.
So we've started that process.
Okay,
Um,
it would be good
Hey,
to,
that's, that one, right?
We don't know, I don't know about anyone from CloudStack. Even though we use fairly minimal things, there were fixes.
it's
Yeah.
coming.
It's
No,
coming back
it's
to
about-
us.
I don't know about Cloud Stack, but yeah, the Eucalyptus stuff is seriously being picked up now. Mostly being driven on their part, which is great.
Yeah, they're basically separate patches, so.
Exactly.
And then
And
CloudStack.
once that's in place, we'll be going and putting it in as part of our normal charm regression stuff as well.
It'll go into 12.4.
Yeah.
okay, so users, are we on crack? Are we missing things? Are we cutting stuff out? Especially people who see larger things out there. You know, how do we help people adopt Juju?
Speaking of large deployments, I'm just making a joke about the hybrid one.
Yeah.
What about integrations with light CI servers?
Oh, so like
Like
Jenkins
Travis CI
plugin.
or Jenkins or.
So I've actually had requests before, just kind of lightly suggested every time I talk to the OpenStack testing guys, that, hey, why don't you use Juju? They rightfully tell me that they can't, because they have specific provisioning needs. They basically need Jenkins to start machines, and
Alright, yeah, grab it.
they,
That
that's
should-
why they have a JClouds plugin for Jenkins that's been written, or they're writing, or whatever.
well,
I would love to see a Juju plugin
Yeah.
for Jenkins, but I don't know how that works.
Oh, it's super easy.
But-
They
but-
give you a CLI. Yeah, it would be.
I know it would
It's
be
not-
easy, so.
All that different from what we have, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have it at a level where we're actually driving Jenkins to do
Grinding
things
more,
for
grinding.
Juju.
Well, and you guys are using Jenkins, you can
We
tell
can
them
lower
to
that
go
down
for that.
We just have
To
a
let
Jenkins
Jenkins
job
drive
that
the
calls
charm
up build
tester.
script to do the
Yeah,
deployment using Juju.
exactly.
Or,
Yep.
Just charm runner.
Just do
itself.
yeah,
Well, we have that wrapper deployment script.
Yeah, you're right.
So-
We have that.
To be
go.
clear,
You can with
And
Jenkins.
Juju call.
Yeah, understand.
the objection that,
It's a lot easier.
And it all supports that.
has been raised against that,
We need
and
to
I
work
can see a
against
CI
others.
shop saying this, because I agree with it, is that effectively you want your CI to have a separation between it failed because we couldn't spin instances, and it failed because the test failed. And
So we do a clear separation in that we don't really even start the smoke testing until after the deployment's reached a good state, so it's just a bootstrap phase.
So it doesn't show up as a fail of the test.
It just,
shows
it
up
does
as-
fail, but we're, in that test, we're testing the charms themselves, still
Mhm.
deploy correctly.
Yeah.
So there's like a bootstrap, there's a deployment test that needs to pass before we actually do any of the
Mhm.
testing later.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's a need to really focus too much on the plugin, but
It's relevant to mention to people that we do, so we have a lot of testing going on that's using Juju to test various different things, OpenStack, as well as other charms in general. And some of the tools we have with that are actually pretty useful for general integration. Like for instance, the Jenkins plugin you just described is nothing other than Charm Runner.
Yeah, and I was actually just thinking that with the Travis
The
CI,
components
because
of
it's
Charm
not really like Jenkins at all, but Charm Runner, it would, but that's kind of misnomer, because like we said,
Yeah.
but Charm Runner, or
It's a
it would be, Charm Runner is vagrant. I mean, not Charm Runner is vagrant, Travis CI is vagrant. It uses,
so it runs stuff.
yeah.
That's all big. runs.
Yeah, it fires up, and, yeah,
That's all any CI system should be, is a structure around running things.
Yeah, and there is no logic to it at all. It's a YAML file. That's all it is.
What
You
about-
feed it that, and that's it.
Does anyone know anything about Foreman? Like Foreman and Baker
Crickets.
combos? Yeah.
Use one, it's
Yeah.
kind of a web UI for your Puppet Master.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a sort of one of the standard stories for OS 10 deployment, or OS 10 development and DevOps sort of deployment around Vagrant and stuff, and watching your services.
Those kind of things.
For,
Yeah, if we want to support that local dev story on OS X, we have to go down either plugging into Vagrant, which is actually.
I think that's a
I
great
don't
idea.
think I've seen anything.
Or we can go to our own VirtualBox provider.
You know what? That's
Yeah.
worth mentioning here.
Yeah, the
It is.
VirtualBox provider's on its way, definitely. Anyway, because it sucks that you can't do local stuff on OS X, you know, when you know.
Well, I'd rather just try to plug into Vagrant if we can. I don't know
Yeah,
how much,
it's
because they
easy.
already do, like, they already support Puppet and Chef, and
It's
so we can have it support.
like a
Juju.
rack stack.
But it's a different, sort of different conceptual models, so it's not clear how well it maps directly.
Yeah,
You just
Yeah.
need one. Right. All we need to tell it is to bootstrap. Then from there you hit it, and it's pure Juju.
Right, but if we're doing Bootstrap, then that means we have a machine provider that's driving, because we have integrated provisioning.
No. But yeah, we'd have to write a special plugin as our bootstrap. That would.
okay, I'm not understanding the difference, I guess, between the plugin and our provider, in this sense here.
Looking for
Plug in
something
into
else,
Vagrant.
providers for
Sorry.
Juju.
Yeah, I meant a plugin for Vagrant.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of like a rack stack.
Right, no, I got you now. I was thinking plugin for Juju, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, a handler. Really.
Got you. Yeah.
Better term for it.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, we have 4 minutes left, I think. Anybody want to raise anything else? Otherwise, we have plenty of work items here.
Yeah. A lot of them
Anybody?
are combined,
guess-
though.
I guess it's not really integration, but I think one of the barriers to bigger installations using Juju is best practices for managing 1,000 hosts or something.
We actually brought that up in the last session, and we're definitely going to be working on a source of truth for that. Like, if we figure out what are the best practices, because right now we'd love to hear what they are. We'll record them.
The last thing I wanted to bring up, who else was in the Cloud Day, whatever, Tuesday? Not Scalar, the other guy. They handle a lot of the authentication and like enterprise authentication and like that, and he wants to integrate with us but where he calls us, you know what I mean? He
Right.
basically using us as a plugin. at
Say
that
what, Teo,
point.
Puppet Labs, or
The S, or
I think so.
S,
just Scalar?
not Scalar, the other guy. It was
That's
right
Teo.
after him.
And
No,
we're working
Puppet
on
Labs.
scale at this
No,
moment.
Puppet Labs. It was
So
the guy that
part
went
of this
right
cycle?
after Scalar. In Stratus.
Part of the cycle, we have off to give.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're working
In
with
fact,
various
he gave
different
me
providers
one.
to do exactly that.
Um,
So we're still in 1,000
But
last
yeah,
night.
because this thing does
Get
not
there,
really what
baby.
Juju
Yep.
does, but it does what it needs to do before it, and handles like we don't even think
Funny
about
how you mention
authentication really, other than nothing. Actually, we don't.
We don't.
And yeah, this
Identity management is one of those things that's just going to have to wait.
well, this does it all
Oh.
already, and it wants something like Juju below it.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, we just need to work all that out. It's just, we don't have time to do it all now, but we need to look at this and maybe, do whatever. The only problem with this though is it's not open.
Yeah. No, that's not necessarily a problem.
Well, no, but.
It's hard to discuss it in this form.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks everybody for coming, and enjoy the rest of your day.